So here's a quick image of the evolution of ignoring others on public transit. So here's what we did in the past, and here's what we do today. Not a lot's changed, just what's distracting us. In fact, here's an actual image of folks decades ago who didn't have phones to distract them, but they still weren't interacting with each other. They were just reading newspapers. Now, some recent researchers, Nick Epley and Juliana Schroeder, decided they wanted to study this exact phenomenon. They wanted to figure out why humans were interacting with each other on public transit. You know, every individual has unique jokes and experiences and perspectives. Why weren't we tapping into that, instead just burying our heads in something else? So they studied this. So they actually started with public transit in Chicago. They studied people on trains, and they created 3 groups. The first group was the solitude condition, where folks were asked to keep to themselves. The second group was the control condition, where folks were asked to do what they would normally do on a train, which of course was keep to themselves. And the third condition was the connection condition, where folks were asked to spark up a meaningful conversation with someone around them. And when they studied those 3 groups, here's what they found at the end of the study. Connecting with others, even strangers, makes us feel good, whether we're the initiator or the receiver, the introvert, or if we're an extrovert. So of those 3 groups, the folks in the connection condition reported having the highest levels of satisfaction. And then they went on to do the study in trains, or excuse me, they did the trains, so then buses and taxis and waiting rooms and airports, and they all had the same result, that when we're in that third condition where we're spontaneously connecting with others, that's when we feel our well-being boosted the most. Now, that hopefully is insightful, but here's the best part of this research, and really, I think we can all relate to this. When the groups that were put through this experiment, they asked them prior to the experiment, which of those 3 groups did they expect to have the most satisfaction? And most people said in the first group, the solitude group. So everyone, we think that we're going to be better off alone or in solitude, or we don't want to inconvenience or interrupt someone else. But we need to stop thinking that way, because at the end of the day, you and I are social creatures, and we're better connected. So how is your brain misleading your connection efforts, right? Where are we thinking that we're going to be better off not connecting with others? So let me give you a personal example. They say that authors write the books that they themselves need to read, and that was certainly true in my case. I'm an introvert. Many speakers are introverts, actually, because we spend most of our time reading and constructing messages like this. But in my life, I wanted to take my connections, and I wanted to go deep with my connections. And so whenever there was a fleeting connection, like sharing an elevator with a stranger, I would never invest in that connection or try to make a small connection, because I just thought, I'm never going to see this person again. No, why would I connect with this person? That's false. My brain was misleading me, and I now know much better. And here's my new mantra, that connections don't have to be lasting to be meaningful. Research says 40 seconds. That's all it takes. 40 seconds where each party feels seen and heard to lessen loneliness and cultivate connection. So now anytime I share an elevator or a barista or anyone else, I always make it a point to connect, because it doesn't have to be lasting to be meaningful. As our time begins to wrap up, I want to share this really insightful quote by the late actor and comedian Robin Williams. He once said, "I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up all alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel all alone." May we all be professionals that never make those around us feel disconnected and alone. It's just that important that we cultivate connection.